Welcome today to Spotlight. I have two guests with me this morning. Sarah, an 8th grade student from a Vermont middle school, who has a very powerful story that she's going to share with us today about being bullied and harassed. And also with us this morning is Jill, who is a lawyer, an accomplished lawyer, happens to be a good friend, and also a professor at Champlain College. Talks a lot about online law and regarding bullying and harassment and how that fits in with our law. So thank you both for being here this morning. Really good to have you. We got to chat with you just a little bit before we started, Sarah, and tell our audience, when did this bullying start for you?
It started in kindergarten, actually, right when I started school. And it finally ended last year, at the end of the school year.
So only last year did the bullying finally end. How did you know it ended?
I started hanging out with a new group of people who are actually my age, because I usually hung out with girls that were a little bit older than me. And that's how I felt the bullying kind of start, because they knew more and had more ways to harass me. And I finally started hanging out with people my own age, and it just stopped. So.
Well, we're happy to hear that. You know, we were talking at one point or other, Jill, how bullying has been around forever. Right. As long as there have been people, there are bullies, there are targets, victims, and those who bully. But for some reason, and we know those reasons, bullying and harassment and the effect it has is much more intense today than ever before. We have so many more ways to communicate. We've become so sophisticated as a culture with communication that it seems we're always in the lights. Right. No matter where we go, it's a present thing. We just can't get away from media.
Right. Technology, social networking like Facebook and Google Buzz, texting, emailing, just allows conversation to perpetuate and bullying to perpetuate. So a student that maybe may not necessarily be a bully may feel more comfortable jumping on the bandwagon on a Facebook post, jumping in and calling someone a name or making them feel bad about themselves. And it's a different way of ganging up. And also, it really never goes away. You can keep getting texts on your phone, and you see it posted, and it's in blogs and in media everywhere. You can't really be safe in your home. Yeah.
Now, Sarah, you play basketball. You must be a star. You look very athletic, very beautiful. There's this misnomer that those who are bullied are like weird somehow. Something visibly must be wrong with them that they put themselves in a situation to be bullied. Couldn't be further from the truth, could it?
Yeah, definitely.
How did your school support you during this time?
There wasn't...
Or did they?
They didn't support at all. They don't do anything to stop it. We have guidance counselors who are touchy-feely, it'll get better, and it doesn't. Just doesn't stop unless you make them.
Hey, talk to us a little bit about the lowest point for you. Describe what had happened and what transpired during your lowest emotional point.
Well, I was diagnosed with depression in 3rd grade, which was after my first year of being harassed, and it continued through 6th grade, and the summer of 6th grade I began to get so depressed that I began to cut myself. And I lied to my mom about it.
When you say cut yourself, how did you cut yourself, Sarah? What was that?
I cut myself with a knife on my wrists.
A knife on your wrist, actually?
Yeah. And on my arms, and just, it was summer, so hard to hide it. And my mom saw the cuts, and I lied to her about it, and I said it was a cat across the street who fell into place because it was a vicious cat. And there was just an endless lie. And I finally broke down one day. Something had happened at home, I don't really remember, but I finally broke down and told my mom, and I tried to tell my dad, but there was no support from him whatsoever from it.
So you felt your mom was supportive?
Yes.
And at that time that you told your mom, you actually, her being the adult in the situation, how did she respond to that?
She immediately called my therapist and put me in therapy for about another year. And therapy, it didn't really work. It just put my mind at ease, and I was put on medication for depression, and that just kind of leveled everything out.
So you didn't feel extremely happy, but you didn't feel super, super lowly depressed
Yes.
that you wanted to do anything to yourself,
Yeah.
right? That gave you time to think a little bit.
Mhm.
What was it like when you turned the corner? How did you turn the corner and decide you wanted to do something and you wanted to go on, as opposed to just doing something that could have been tragic?
Therapy just kind of balanced my mindset, and the medication just, it put me at an ease and just let everything kind of happen, and I was just there. I was just watching everything going on. And I moved houses in my school last year, so after that summer, and everything started out good. So that was kind of, I thought it was a turning point, but it really wasn't, because everything got worse during that year, because I was still hanging out with the older girls and trying to fit in because I was with new people, and there was really no turning point. So.
And that was 7th grade. And
Yes.
so here you are, you in a new house now, a different part, and yet it continued. Now, at one point, did you ever find any trace of this bullying on Facebook? Or?
Yes, there was actually a rumor spread about me, and I found out from one of my good friends on Facebook. He told me one day that there had been a rumor, and the next day, the person who started the rumor told the guidance counselor about it, and she tried to protect herself by going to him and telling him. But we traced it back through who people heard it from and found out it was her, and things were never really the same. But
Now, I'm going to cut away. Jill, so I'd like you to speak to this. So here this person was discovered as being the bully.
Right.
Okay. At that point, what does the law say? How is she to be dealt with, or he? Was it he or she?
It was a
Sarah?
girl.
It was a girl. How is this girl to be dealt with according to our law?
Well, the onus is now being put on schools more. In Vermont, the Ryan Halligan case, which I know has been discussed here, has changed the law so that schools are more responsible for dealing with bullying that happens either on campus or even off-site, because it can be brought into school with things such as Facebook. So, but the only way that it's specifically dealing with it is expulsion of the student and notification of parents. Our state laws are not quite stringent enough yet to be considered criminal activity.
I'm so inspired by what you're doing. So here you are, it's a school day, you're out, you're talking about your experience, your journey. What do you hope to gain from this by going and talking to different groups?
there's nothing that I'm really doing for myself here except for trying to help people in my school who are facing the same things I'm facing with the issue of harassment and bullying in our community at school. And my goal is just to reduce it and hopefully stop it eventually, because nobody needs to go through and feel the way that I felt. So
I'm thankful that you're not a tragic statistic and that you're here and we're able to talk about this, and that's really great. What would you want to say to teachers in schools who kind of, if you will, are on the front line?
dig a little deeper. There's so many things that go on in the classroom, in the hallways, at recess and lunch that you don't understand that are happening. You may see it, but you don't do anything about it.
So dig deeper, do something about it. That's really good advice. Where did most of this bullying take place? So we're talking about a school day right now, and if we were to talk locations in the school, where did it take place?
It really varied over the years. In 3rd and 4th grade, it mainly happened in lunch and at the playground and somewhat in the hallways. But as I got into middle school, it changed a lot and still happened at lunch and happened more in the classroom with the teacher actually there. And last year, in 7th grade, it was just all over the place. There was no specific area that it took place. It was on the internet, somewhat, not really, but it was more in person. So.
Now that you've been through this and you're sensitive to bullying, harassment issues, do you feel that this is a widespread problem?
It definitely is. Definitely.
So we'd have to assume there are more students that are in your situation who we don't even know are in your situation, and what you're doing then hopefully will speak to them somehow.
Yeah.
If you had to give 3 words of advice to our viewers, our student viewers, they may be being bullied right now as we speak. It could be happening. What would you tell them?
I would say stick up for yourself more, definitely. If you're going to tell an adult, make sure they know what you want. Don't let them be all touchy-feely to you and, oh, it'll get better, because I know out of experience that it won't unless you tell them what you want to be done about it. And the last is maybe find, if it's going on in your friend group, try and get some other friends and branch out and find another seek of support. And if it is going on outside of your friends, have them there to support you about it, because support is very important with this issue.
So that's a huge piece of advice, just changing friend groups to protect yourself and to get out of that immediate danger that you're in, because it really is a danger, isn't it? I like the piece you say about believing in yourself and just being able to look in the mirror and say, I am okay. They make me feel like I'm not, but I am okay, and I'm worth it. And I think that's a really good piece of advice. It's hard to take when you're in that situation, isn't it?
It's hard to see about yourself and determine that you can do it, and they're just trying to make you feel horrible to make themselves feel better.
We talked about where this training should take place, anti-bullying and harassment training. Jill, you mentioned 3rd grade is, you have to start so young.
Yeah, even in kindergarten.
It's too late by middle school, isn't it?
It is too late. It is too late. And it is now changing so that kindergarten teachers throughout the school, even in the cafeteria, are being educated about bullying. And it's little things. For example, a child being teased about the way they color, which would seem innocuous when we were kids. You know, big deal. Now the teachers are scripted, and they bring the 2 kids together. The child knows to get help, and I feel these the I statements. I feel sad about the way that I was talked to when I was coloring. So then the other child comes in. These are 5-year-olds we're talking about, and they say, please tell your friend I didn't mean to be mean. And the child says, I didn't mean to be mean. I'm sorry. And then the child that was hurt says, I forgive you, and we're friends now. And remarkably, it's working. These sorts of things are working. They have the guidance counselors come in and talk about having a clear mind or a mud mind when you're angry, or a sparkle mind when you're really happy. And they identify themselves through that, and then they also are really using the I statements. I feel sad when this happens. And I think at that level, when they're just forming social relationships, that's probably a better time to start, instituting these values in the kids. We'll see as they get older.
And just being non-judgmental.
Non-judgmental.
Just being a culture where we're not judging one another.
Exactly.
So what if you have a boyfriend and they don't have a boyfriend? Or so what if you don't have a boyfriend and they do? So what? Leave it be. Just letting people be who they are.
It is focused more on being inclusive than exclusive. It used to be, well, not everybody has to be friends. Now the rules are you need to include. You can no longer say you can't play, you can't sit with us at lunch. So this is at the way lower levels in kindergarten.
Sarah, question for you. So in your journey, in your experience, so much of the time being bullied, the bullies, what kind of people are they? Are they the bruisers? Are they the ones that you just see them coming and you just know they're a bruiser? What is the typical bully really like?
Well, they really varied in my friend group, but the people that had bullied me last year, you knew that they were mean, and if you got on their bad side, they would totally ruin your life. But if you were on their good side, they were going to invite you places and treat you like a real person. And I was on the good side for a while, And then they totally just turned on me and made my life miserable. And that's kind of how it was for all the years that I've been harassed. So we don't really see it coming unless they're the big kid who's going to punch your face.
It just happens.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason for it. Can't tell them things will get better.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that you've become a person who responds, and you know how to respond to bullying and harassment right now. And so I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Was there anything you wanted to add to this?
I think that's it.
So, Sarah, thank you so much. Best of luck on your 8th grade project.
Thank you.
We just need more people like you. You've been a great inspiration, true inspiration for us. And Jill, thanks for the work you do in law and with the college. And I know you two have been good friends, so we're glad for that support too. That's really great. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, audience. You've been a good audience. And that's all for today on Spotlight.